Before we start, this little pin I wore for Matt, my friend that he passed away this past week. Matt Offerney's a guy I've known for a couple of years, and we go down to Nationwide Children's, and I got very close to his family, and I wanted to share that with you. So that's what that pin's for, and just please keep that family in your thoughts. Also want to thank Buckeye Nation, incredible show of support down in Texas. And then to come back in the Skull session and to see that stadium packed again. I normally start every press conference with that because you never want to take that for granted. I certainly know our players don't take it for granted, and our staff doesn't as well. And I also thanked Ryan Day, and we presented him with a game ball afterwards. 3-0, it's a pretty good record. And I'm not sure the exact winning percentage of that is, but that's pretty high. But he's done a great job. So a lot of respect for Tulane. It's a triple option type offense that you have to be assignment sound for the most part. We played pretty good defense. Still can get better, but overall very pleased. And then offensively, Dwayne, was 21 to 24 for 300 yards, 5 touchdowns, and we didn't turn the ball over. And the bigger the games, that's going to be the key, and everybody in this room knows that. But Dwayne did very good, but to throw the ball takes much more than him. It's the offensive line protected well. I think we gave up 1 sack. And the receivers are playing at a very high level. Couldn't get the running game going to the degree. Mike Weber has a little strain on his foot, and he should be fine for next week. And with that said, special teams were very solid. Very pleased with our punt unit, and we had a couple nice returns in the punt return game. So I'll answer your questions for you.
Over to the left, Bill.
Urban, Dwayne is now completing 75% of his passes, 16 touchdowns, 1 interception, and he's played 1/2 in some of these games. I know you've had great quarterbacks, but have you had one who's thrown the ball the way that Dwayne is throwing it right now?
I had Alex Smith at Utah, and he was, obviously when Cardell got hot. It's so early, though. I hate to put him in those, it's game 5 coming up, and this one's a big one coming up. So I'm very pleased with his performance. I remember when I watched him throw at one of his workouts, either right before we signed him or right after we signed him, and you could see that he had that part of the game, but that's just a part of it. He's getting a command of everything, and the players just responding to him, so playing very well.
And we know his arm is strong, but when he's also accurate, just how does that open things up for the offense?
Well, today we were challenged. It was a lot of single coverage all over the place. And the touchdown to Paris Campbell was left shoulder. What a beautiful throw and catch. And I'm proud of Paris. That was a catch. He struggled with that over the years, and he's really worked so hard at it. But it is. When it's you, as a defensive coach, when you're a dual threat quarterback, that presents problems. If you don't have a dual threat quarterback, you better be extremely accurate to make that be legitimate, or it's going to be hard to run the ball because they'll just load the box on you.
Over to the right, Rob.
Urban, his numbers are pretty amazing. What else do you want to see from him? What's left to see, and maybe going into Penn State, how he holds up in that hostile environment?
Yeah, that's we all know about that environment, but he's answered the bell. Against TCU now. I think TCU is a top 10 team. I think in the last year in the rivalry game, stepped in there and did it. And we're all in this together. That's one thing about Dwayne. What about Isaiah? What about Thayer Mumford? What about our center? What about Mike Jordan? What about Demetrius Knox and Malcolm Pridgeon? And I know, but to operate at that capacity and those kids catching the ball now, because a lot of those are gimme throws too, that Paris comes out the other end on him. And so it's all together.
At one point you said the leadership is the one thing you want to see him grow in. Has he
is
done
growing.
that?
Yeah, he's doing a very good job with that.
Over to the left, Ari.
Urban, when you, after the game, you just mentioned that you gave Ryan Day the game ball. Can you put in perspective, just having been the head coach here for 7 years and a head coach much longer, how difficult that task might have been for him to go 3-0, not only to go 3-0, but to also only lose 1 commitment over 2 classes from a recruiting standpoint, and now that you're back, being in this point where you're 4-0 now and right in the national championship race, how hard was that for Ryan, you think?
It's just a job very well done, and he was the first one to thank, and Gene was down there, and to thank the coaching staff. And that includes guys like Coach Marotti and then the support staff, guys like Mark Pantoni. It's a very healthy program. It's a very strong program, and Ryan was exactly the guy we needed to lead it and get us through this, and he did a hell of a job.
And obviously it's your first game back, and I know that the last month's probably been very difficult for you. What was it like emotion-wise to go through the skull session, to come back, get a win, go through everything that you're used to going through here?
Yeah, this community and this school and this university mean the world to us. The state, this is our home state. This is something that, in 2012, Gene made a call and asked me if I'd be interested in coming back to Ohio State, and we were going through a tough time then as well, and we did. And my family is completely ingrained in this community. They love this place. I love this university. And to walk into that skull session and see Buckeye Nation support myself and our team, that was somewhat overwhelming, and I appreciate that, and very appreciative of it.
Over to the right here, Tim.
Yeah, Urban, Parrish had a decent year last year, but he seems to have taken it up a notch game-wise and
Yeah.
stuff, Parrish Campbell. What, from your vantage point, what do you see that's different about him?
Just his ball skills. He's a guy that made a decision. He should have come back. He wasn't, I think he's a top first-round draft pick at some point. But he had to really improve his ball skills, especially down the field. He's really improved the crossing routes and bubbles and those type of things. But that was the execution today on that, we call it a pause route, was perfect. And he's really playing well.
Was there one moment today, obviously you brought the team in before warm-ups and you stood there and hugged each one as you usually do, but was there one moment in particular that just stood out to you or hit you from an emotional standpoint of being back?
It's always the same one. It's the between the third and fourth quarter, and hear that band play the Hang On Sloopy. So it's been that way now for 7 years.
Over to the left, Brianna.
Coach Meyer, the defensive line really stepped up this game, especially players like Chase Young and Draymond Jones. Despite not having Nick Bosa, do you think their performance in tonight's game showed that they can handle Penn State next week?
It's a much different game today than it's going to be next week. Today was wishbone football. So you didn't have the sacks, you didn't have the pass rush, which, is a big part of who those guys are. So I thought they played well. They played only 30 minutes of football, and we got them out. So the challenge of challenges is coming up.
Over to the right here, Austin.
Urban, was this game kind of tricky to manage for you? You've got in between TCU and going on the road against Penn State.
Yeah.
You had to pull guys out at halftime. I'm not trying to nitpick, but the second half probably wasn't. Just wanted to get to the finish. Is that difficult to manage?
Well, Coach Mick and I meet hours upon hours. We got in at 4 a.m. I think we played 80 plus plays down in TCU against a very fast team in a very stuffy environment. And we overanalyze everything, but that's our job, about hydration. Then we show up on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's 90 degrees. It turned up the heat on us. And so we've been very cautious about, just about the burnout of a player and the health and welfare of our guys. So that's one of the reasons we decided at halftime to end it and to get ready for this one.
Over to the left, Bill.
Urban, you had only seen your team in practice. You had not seen them in a game all year. It's different when you see them in a game. What struck you about your team watching them in a game today?
The accuracy of the passing and the skill set of our wideouts. I thought that was we have a big offensive line. We never had a chance to really get that run game going the way we wanted to. You notice every time we got through, that safety was right there to get us down. But that created that single coverage that I was talking about. So that's just offensively what I was, accuracy of the quarterback and the kids making catches.
What about defensively?
Defensively, it was a tough game. That was not, it's wishbone. And it was all triple option, and that was just one of those things, getting down. I just kept worrying about a wheel route coming out the back end, because those are those kind of games when you play a service academy. That's basically what that was. And I didn't really have a chance to watch them until Thursday on video. And then I was like, because I didn't know, I thought it was more spread. But that was wishbone football. Yeah, they only threw the ball 14 times, and he's a hell of an athlete. So the biggest thing is just get him down, not have something pop up behind you.
We got the last two because we got some players getting ready to come up here. Over to the right, Clay.
Urban, you weren't gone long, but you were gone. I noticed today you seemed to be more affectionate. You were grabbing Rashad Berry as you ran out, hand on the shoulder at Tate Martell. You seemed to be, I don't want to get into public displays of affection, but did you feel like, hey, I missed these guys, I want to show them I missed them?
Very observant, Clay. I do. I love these guys, and that's. I see Ben right there. Ben knows the relationship we have with our players, and it's very special. And it's one of the great things about being a coach at Ohio State. And, you got your family, you got your players, you got your staff. And it was very, I didn't know I was doing that, but I can probably feel that I was.
Over to the left. Doug?
Urban, after Tulane's scoring drive, I think you came on the field and had a quick talk with Okuda and Arnett and Greg. Just with your corners, we know they're skilled corners, but what do you want to see from them, especially in a game like next week?
Yeah, I just want them to see, be more, we had a penalty by Damon, and Damon worked so hard at practice, he's just better than that. The lack of discipline, and then, I just want to make sure that the focus is on fundamentals of performing, not other stuff, and I just, so that's why the little chat we had.
And Mike Jordan had some issues with low snaps last week against TCU. Seemed fine today. What did he do? What did you guys do to straighten that out?
Just emphasis, and he came up to me after every day of practice because I got on him a little bit, and they chart. Stud does a very good job. We chart every snap, and he was very accurate this whole week. Thanks, guys.